Daf Tesvav. Ben the Rabbi, Ben the Rabbi Bar Huna. Now, according to both Rabbi and Rabbi Bar Huna, the money that the robber owes the robbery victim, Milva al Pehu, has the status of a loan by oral agreement, and it's not accompanied by documentation. Milva al Pehu gave him the chasam shabadim, and the halacha is a person is owed a loan by oral agreement and cannot collect from lien property. After the Gemara, Hachamay, what are we dealing with over here? Kishama badin v'hadar zabin. Talking about a case where the robber stood in Beis Din for his robbery, and the Beis Din found him guilty, and he sold the land. Since he sold it after the liability was known, the debt is equivalent to one that it's a milva b'shtar, and can be collected from chasam shabadim. If that's the case, the owner should collect piris nami. The owner should collect payment for the produce as well from the chasam shabadim. And for the Gemara, Kisham badin al keren, it's referred to a case where the robber stood trial for the principal. Badin al piris, but did not yet stand trial for the produce. For the Gemara, my paska, what was stated without qualification? According to this explanation, the distinction is not between the principal and the produce, but rather between debt for which the robber stood trial and those for which he did not stand in Beis Din. The normal way of things is that when a person files a claim, he first claims the principal, and only afterwards does he file claims with regards to other properties such as produce. The Gemara questions the statement that Rav Nachman is said in Shmuel's name. The Shmuel hold that one who buys land from a robber does not have the right to the value of the enhancement of the land. But didn't Shmuel say to Rav Chanina bar Shilas, Imlech, when you write a deed of sale, consult with the parties. If they agree, right, the seller commits to compensate the buyer in the event that the land is appropriated from him with a superior quality land, and if the value of the enhancement of the land that produces as well. This was standard formula of deeds of sale. The Gemara clarifies, to what case is the statement referring? If it's a case where the seller's creditors repossess the land, does the creditor have rights to the produce? What doesn't Shmuel say? That a creditor collects the value of the enhancement of the field, which is mashma shevach in aval peiris loy. It's mashma the shevach, but not the peiris. Rather, it's not referred to a case where a person buys land from a robber, the owner repossesses it. This is Seisher Shmuel's earlier statement that one who buys land from a robber does not have the rights to the value of the enhancement. What are we dealing with? The case where the robber owns the land, which he can return to the buyer instead of paying his money. In that case, the transaction appears to be a sale and not the payment of interest for a loan. It's permitted to borrow a saw of grain for return of a saw in the case of that he owns land. The Chachamim were astered executing a loan of produce for return for the same amount of produce, lest the price rises in the interim, causing the levit to return a higher value than he borrowed, which appears to be ribis. This is the halacha, even in the case where the borrower owns land. Similarly, in the case where the robber owns land, the payment of the value of the enhancement resembles the payment of interest. So later, Rabbi S said to him, Hasam halva, the distinction between the two cases is there, with regards to the borrowing of sah, the case, the question involves a loan. Hachazvina, whereas here, in the case involving a sale, since the field was bought from the robber, the additional value that the robber pays does not appear to be ribis. Other people say, then with the case where the buyer performed a kinyan at the time that he purchased the land from the robber's possession, thereby formalizing a tanai that should the field be appropriate for him, he'll be reimbursed from the enhancement and its value. Since he acquired this right at the time of the purchase, it does not appear as though he received ribis. He's recommended for one to borrow a saw for a son in a case where he performed an act of acquisition from possession. There, with regards to borrowing a saw, it's in case of a halva. Here is a case involving a sale. Or it says like this: Gufa, let's return to the text of sale. Amar Shmuel says, Balchi gave us a shemach. A creditor collects the value of the enhancement of the land. Amar Rabba says, Teida, you should know, oh, this is true, as this is the standard formulation that the seller writes to the buyer in a deed of sale. I will stand the silence and purify the cleanse this sale. sell the label invested in its enhancement, and I will present its value before you. And this seller consented and accepted upon himself. The case of a gift where the owner does not write the formalization, indeed, does it say that the creditor does not repossess the value of the enhancement? Or yes. But is the legal power of gift stronger than that of a sale? Yes, it's indeed stronger. Or not was this? The following advice supports the opinion of Marshall. But our colleague Rav interprets it as referring to other matters. The Tanya Mecher said of the Chabede, one who sells a field to another, and it's appropriated for him the buyer's possession. When he collects, give us a kirman the chasmer shabadim. He collects it from the chasmer shabadim. The shabadim given the chasmer nechayim, and he collects enhancer from unsold property. And our colleague opponent interprets it as referring to other matters. The case of one who buys a field from a robber. Tiny dog is another rice. The case of one who sells a field to another, and the buyer enhances it. The creditor comes and repossesses the field. The case when the buyer collects. If the value of the enhancement of the field is greater than the buyer's expenses, it takes the difference of the value between the enhancement and the expenses from the owner of the sale. And he's compensated for the expenses of the creditor. If the expenses were greater than the enhancements, he receives the compensation for his expenses only up to the value of the enhancement from the creditor. And how does Shmuel interpret the Brisa? Even if it's referring to one who buys a field from a robber, then the first clause of the Brisa poses difficulty to Shmuel's opinion. The Shmuel says unless they shvacha. A person who buys a field from a robber does not have the right to compensation the enhancement of the field. And if it's Bachiv, the Shmuel says Bachiv gave us a Shema. It says a Shmuel creditor collects enhancement of the field and needs to pay nothing. So if you want to say that the Brisa is referring to one who buys a field from a robber, or you could say it's talking about a creditor, but it's not a question. Here it's referring to the Shavach, and for Simon, the field that reaches the shoulders. And there it's referring to the enhancement that does not reach one's shoulders. But this is Maisim B'Choyim. Shmuel would collect payment from the buyer even the enhancement that reaches one's shoulders, without requiring the creditor to compensate for their expenses. So where it says like Kasha, it's not a difficulty. These were when the creditor was owed the same amount of money as the value of the land. And there is the land that where he was owed by only the same amount. He gives the enhancement and thereby they dismiss the buyer. This works well according to the one who says that even if the purchaser has money, he's unable to dismiss the creditor. According to the one who says that when a purchaser has money, he can dismiss the creditor by paying the value of the land. Let him tell him, either have a zuzi, have a misalik and the ara, or be misalik and everything. If I don't have, now that I don't have, how they give the ara, shir shvachim, give me at least the sell land from the land that you wish to repossess, which is the amount of the enhancement. Everything went off my skin, get so a petiki, made out petiki. You're only getting paid back from this. In the case for one who bought a field from a robber, he could be he recognized that it was not the seller, he knew that it was stolen. Rav says the purchaser has the right to the field. There's not an enhancement. Person knows his karka, and let him say his deposit. Person knows that he does not have the right to the land. Therefore, he clearly resolved to give him the money and to sell the gift. Let him say to his seller that he's giving him the money as a gift. So the matter would be embarrassing for the seller. But then Rav Shmuel disagree about this principle. One, the Omer Mekadesh is a chayse. Person with a Kaddish, his sister, which obviously doesn't work. Rav Omer Meis Chaysen. He gave the Kiddushin, the money he gave for the Kiddushin is returned, because the Kiddushin ain't Tevsin. Shmuel Omer Meis Matana, as a Matana, Rav Omer Meis Chaysen, because other than Kiddushin Tevsin, the person knows that he can't be Gomer Lo Shem Kodem, Nevelim Shem Kodem, so let him have them in. Shmuel says, Meis Matana, the money is considered as a gift. Other than Kiddushin Tevsin, Gomer Lo Shem Matana, he's giving the Matana. He thought the matter would be embarrassing for her, and he should refuse to accept the money. When I said, see if it's necessary to present this agreement in both instances, in that case, the Rav, that the money returns to purchasers, people do not tend to give gifts to non-relatives. With what justification does he take possession of the land? How does he justify consuming its produce? Our answer is this: Savar, he holds, I will take possession of the land and I will work and consume the produce in it. And just as the seller would have done. When the owner of the land comes and claims, so the he has money and he also has the enhancement. Then Allah has money. Doesn't matter what it is.